let's get into the game. So we have Matthew and Frosty against AJIV and Book. We have again French and Germans against Germans and Russia. Germans for obvious reasons is very good on this map. I think I always played Germans on this map, just because their Warbank rush is so good and their cap is so good. But I think I say that every game, so I'm not going to go any deeper into that. Maybe let's talk about the Russian pick. Russia is a decent pick, so it's a huge map, Great Plains, so you can run around a lot. You should use your Explorer to build this. So this is a bug, so I'm not blaming him here. And they're decent or a good defense civilization overall. So Russia is definitely not a bad pick, but it's also, I mean, it's good. I mean, he can play. It's fine if he feels comfortable with it. Of him. Russia has a decent boom. They have pretty cheap units, so you can trade pretty inefficiently with Russia and still be fine for a long time. So that's good. And yeah, so Russia definitely a decent pick. So Russia against Germans. So we have a Warbank rush going on again. Let me see if he did the same build order as I do. Oh no, he doesn't even have the mortars. I mean, he has two infinite mortars, so that's decent. I wouldn't use the 13 Ulans. I think it's a very low value shipment, so I would rather use basically anything else. So 2 heavy cannons is probably better. But other than that, I think it's okay. I think. And if you're going for this rush, so 2 heavy cannons really helps, because that means you would have out some artillery now, and the Warbanks plus artillery just eats this army completely, and then he would need cavalryans. So that's the idea behind this. Also, it's a bit early for economic theory with 8 villagers, Matthew, I would say. So usually you would prefer the factories first, or the settler wings. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, it's not going good. I think if you had cannons, if you had the 2 heavy cannons, this might actually work out decently. At this point, you cannot fight this much infantry with your war wagons. You will just get cleaned up, and you won't trade good enough to achieve anything. On the other side, we do have goons and skirmishers against warbanks. So Book is playing defensive for the most part. He didn't attempt for the warbank rush. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he doesn't like it. He's just going for boom. On Great Plains, I'm not a big fan of the factory position here. Why? Because you cannot ball it off, or you can only ball it off here. And that means if mortars just walk here and shoot the factory, then you lose it, and you can't do much against it, other than being very aware. Some raids going on here. Oh, I mean, I think he could have gotten the factory back if he paid attention. But he didn't, so yeah, now the cannons roll in, but at this point AJIV also has his cannons. So if he would have had them a bit earlier, then they would have been so much more valuable than now. Yeah. So on this side, I think Book is just sacrificing way too much map in the early stages of the game. So he could have had the same racks and stuff up here, and it wouldn't change anything. Because now if he loses any any engagement, he has nowhere to fall back to, and he's in his economy immediately, which is not something you want to do. This is a good engagement though. So Ulans on skirmishes always good, of course. I don't know why this Kyrian lives, so it should be dead, in my opinion. It's also just a bigger army right now for Beuk, so he should clean up here. Meanwhile, on this side, the fighting continues. Now the German has artillery, and with the artillery, he should be able to push. I think he needs this horse artillery too. So this should be a decent engagement. I mean, AJIV is basically only spamming Strelets into it. So that's good. Now let me check the resource. Matthew is low on resource already though. AJIV too though, so... I mean, AJIV can make a lot more cannons. But his economy is growing decently. Does he have enough food? No. So, from my experience playing Russia, typically at the start of the game you don't want to spend too many food units, and you want to use more cannons just because you tend to have more cannons, more coin in the bank. So sending your Strelets on horse artillery is usually not a good decision, because food is more valuable, in my opinion. And now he's covering, so he should be able to deal with it, finally. Yeah, because with Russia you spend a lot, or you need a lot of food for all these musketeers and for these Strelets, and also for your economy. So typically you will be short of food. But it seems like he's defending, and his food economy is decent enough already to sustain. So it's fine. He also has all the food cards already. So I mean, for him it kind of makes sense now. 36 villages, but I think sending economy cards this early, where you barely have 30 villages, is a bit early. I would prefer factories. I think they are always better. But I mean, it's working for him, so that's fine. Meanwhile, on this side, the fight continues. The wolves are mad at the cannons, so they attack them. Over a Frosty in a decent spot here. I think he should have made some forward bases a long time ago. So yeah, because at the moment they have to walk over half of the map, and he cannot really react in a fast way. And oftentimes you would have to switch your screen if you're not using hotkeys, and I know that Frosty is not using too many hotkeys, so he would be away from the battle a lot of the time. So I think you always should have your barracks or your bases near the enemy. And that's kind of hurting him, because if he would have a stable here, for example, then he could just even make some Huss or some gendarmes and maybe get a cleanup once he fires down those war wagons. He could just get a cleanup, for example, if he would have a stable nearby, and that's very good. Now the cannon push starts for AJIV. Just see AJIV. AJIV's boom is really good though, so I think he never misses any villager pops. So his economy will always be good. And if you cannot deny it, or if you're slow with your boom, you will be a bit behind. I think German boom is comparable to Russia. But maybe also sometimes a bit weaker, or could feel a bit weaker. So it's looking very bad for Matthew here, to be honest. And he would need some help soon. Just check, is anything going on? So 1, 2, 3 factories live. Yes, he's 4. Did he lose a factory already? No. All factories live. Yeah. I also think that Frosty could have, like, why? Usually, what you can do if you are fighting, then you can, or what's a good thing to do is just send some raids, because even if they are not achieving much, the raids will just distract the enemy, and that means he usually will make micro mistakes at the front, like running infantry into cannons or something. So that's usually always a good decision. At this point, he kind of also broke Book. So Book is also really not in a good position. But Frosty, because he doesn't have any bases here, and because he doesn't have any good cannons, he cannot capitalize on it. Whereas AJIV, he has a lot of cannons, and he's immediately following up with his bases, so he can really put a nail in the coffin on Matthew, and I think Matthew is pretty dead right now, so there's... It's just the... It feels like you should have made a line of towers here to regroup and avoid these fights here, so with the small numbers of units you cannot really fight, and you would just have to wait until you have a mass again to fight, and hope you can delay with towers and stuff long enough so you can do that. But it didn't feel like he could do that. So I think very well played from AJIV. I think he wasted a bit too many strelets at the start, but as soon as he mixed in the cannons, he was in a good position. So very well played with him. So up to the next game. Let me just quickly restart my game, and then let's get into the next game. So yeah, I think maybe Frosty could have also broken Book. But he also wasn't in a commanding position as AJIV. And I think his main mistake was that he didn't get any forward bases out. So he couldn't react fast to what was happening on the battlefield, and also he couldn't make cannons or stuff to really put pressure on Book. Sorry guys. Yeah, I'm just restarting my game, and then let's see what the next map brings. I don't think there were any factory snipes in this game, because I checked it, so... Okay, let's get into the next game. We do have... Let's see what map we have. We do have Texas, I think. Yes, it's Texas. AJIV as Ottoman, NaheulBeuk as Spain, against Ottoman of Matthew and Frosty's Russia. Let's see how it starts. So already Book with 2 villagers building walls, that's interesting. I would have expected a bit more aggression of him. But maybe their game plan is just to survive the start, and then they feel confident that they can win the late game. Maybe what is this villager doing here? He's on a journey. He's on a journey, yeah. I mean, I can check the text real quick. AJIV with 6 TCs, which is quite a lot. So his boom will be excellent again. He also has the Grenadier card. I'm personally not a fan of this card, so I wouldn't use it. I'm just keeping an an eye out on this villager, because he seems to be on a mission. And that actually might work. NaheulBeuk with the early Spanish gold, so I think some people listen to me. I think that's very great play. I think he's missing fencing school though. Fencing and riding school is... Oh no, they don't have it, sorry. Liberation March. Sorry, my bad. They're Spanish, they don't have fencing and riding school. And he has a mission. And did they spot it already? Yeah, okay, they spotted it. So, this could have worked out great. Matthew is aware of it though. Maybe if this goes up... Oh, it goes up. So this could mean some trouble, but he doesn't have the AJIV train time, so cannot really capitalize on it. So I think it's probably also the right decision already to not do anything here anymore. Oh, but they're getting the taste of their own medicine here with a sneak of Frosty. He's getting out some musketeers. He's everywhere, by the way. He has bases everywhere already. So I think Matthew really needs to help Frosty at the front now. Yeah, he's everywhere, so that's interesting. It definitely is an interesting game already. So we have a sneak of Frosty, and he's in the... I don't think you can actually, so because the way this game works is you cannot build in the starting radius of your, or in the radius of your starting PC. So I think this is like the only place in the back side where Frosty actually can build. That's very annoying. So it's a very annoying limitation if you ask me. So I don't think this is doing too much. So there would have... So with a bit better coordination by Matthew and Frosty, they could have had some mortars here and killed some bases here. And then this would have been very good. And... yeah, but no, it was just one-sided attack, and didn't achieve too much. I mean, there were no factories out already. I mean, it's a good attempt. Some people just break, so often this could catch me off guard if Thief does this. Then I sometimes just collapse if I have to fight it 2 or 3 sides. So it can definitely work. So it's a good attempt. So I'm not saying it. I mean, that it could have just been a bit better. So if they would force if they would put up some pressure at the front, some mortars here, then that could have been really good. Ottoman Mirror is pretty interesting. I think so. The 3D approach is usually Janissaries and Hussars, so that's also what AJIV is going for. Makes sense. In Deathmatch, oftentimes I think it's a good decision to start with Abu Guns and the Horse Archers, mainly because the main reason why you're not getting those units in 3D is because they are so pop inefficient. But at the start you have enough population anyway that you can afford to be a bit more population inefficient, but more cost efficient, because Abus and Horse Archers are very cost efficient in my opinion. So they are pretty deadly to infantry and to cavalry, and they, yeah, just pretty cost efficient units overall. But like one Abu gun is still probably not good. Is probably not as good as 2 skirmishers. So yeah, this is not... Oh, again a sneak. Now we finally have a factory snipe. How did that guy get in? So I think he walked through here, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, at least I saw in the chat. I think he should kill this factory with all this ideas. I don't know what he's doing. Frosty, come on. Frosty. Or is he... Oh, no, he's... I think he wants to kill the starting TC. And if he kills the starting TC, he thinks maybe that he can get a few fours in. Maybe that's what's going on. So usually... why I usually don't do that, because there are 3 TCs here. And me, with my luck, I will never get the starting TC. I will always get the wrong TC. Because you don't know what the starting TC is. So that's what I... Like, he could have killed the factory right now. So I would rather just kill the factory and be happy with what I got with my sneak. Because it's still pretty expensive to do it. There are just so many random units walking around the map. So Frosty has 60 population, which is not a lot. I think the halberdiers and musketeers should be enough to deal with it. I think against this unit composition, honestly, I would have just made a few Cossacks and they would have just cleaned up everything. That would be my approach. And this factory should be down, in my opinion. Let's just compare the booms. So he's at 45 villagers. He's at 22. I think he's pop capped for a long time. So that's why he has so little villagers. Because I don't think one extra TC is giving him 20 more villagers. That's interesting. So Frosty or Matthew has to trade more, I think, to lose some units. Oh no, he does it. Oh, that was not a good covering shot. Oh no. Oh no. Matthew, no. Does he get it now? Yeah, no, that was not great. So the covering shots really could have been better. I think if you commit this heavy, you should probably just click down the coverings. Yeah. Oh, another 4 going up. I don't know how are these units getting in. I mean, still Frosty. I mean, he's doing a lot, but he's also eventually he needs to deal with Spanish, and Spanish is pretty strong in a straight up fight, I think. He needs some gates here. I mean, he has dealt with the cannons. I think he has too many of the cavalry, so he should have made at least a few horse artillery. A few horse artillery would have cleaned up everything here. He needs definitely gates here. Here, and here, and here, and here. Just to... So, because you see, these Drellets, they are just not doing anything. Because they're trying to find a way to fight, but there's no space. I mean, he's probably doing him a favor by killing that foundry here, to be honest. Also, it's so tight here, but still units manage to get on top of the cavalries. I think you really need some Cossacks here. Some Cossacks would be gold against all these units. So Cossacks are good against skirmishers, they're good against lancers. Those few dragoons are not going to do much against an army of Cossacks, so yeah. And I think, yeah, now Frosty's in trouble. Sorry, I had to. Sorry guys, I have a sour throat, so I have to take a napkin sometimes, or however it's called in English. You know, I have to... I'm sniffing a bit. I don't know what's the correct term, so I need to drink a bit, and I just need to take care of my nose. I'm sorry for that. Okay, so I think it's looking pretty rough for Frosty here. I think Spanish Russia is a tough matchup for Russia. I think Frosty really needs some Cav though, so he just I don't think he has a stable. I think he realizes now. Yeah, because like Russia actually has one of the best Cav in the entire game, I think, with their Cossacks. They are very cost efficient and also cost effective because they have a lot of upgrades on them. And Spain doesn't have anything against Cav. So because he didn't have to. Maybe he had a feeling that Russia didn't have a stable on the map. So yeah, but only sending infantry only is not something you can do in Spain. So you need artillery and you need cav and you need basically everything. Did he get fed? He still has a lot of resources. He also is only at 100 pop. I mean, it seems like he's missing the production at the moment. I think Matthew sent him some resources, right? Can I? Okay. I cannot see the chat here, otherwise I would look. Meanwhile, the Ottoman mirror is going in the way of AJIV, so he's at 200 population and at 100 villages. Not that it matters too much, I think, at the moment. Oh yeah, I mean it matters. So he is feeding his teammate. Now finally the Cossacks come in, and as soon as the Cossacks come in, he has to go back. So that's finally a good call by Frosty. Do something, Cossacks. Yeah, I mean they're cleaning up, so it's decent. And I think now he needs some cannons. So usually this is a decent position where you can defend near the trading post. So the trading post side usually means that it's very hard to fight because it's just so it fucks up the pathfinding so much that you really it's difficult to find around it. So it's usually a good place to defend. Yeah, so I think these Abus could. I think if he just walks forward and kills these bombards, then the army is kind of useless. So I would have probably just moved there, taken 1 or 2 shots, lost half of them, maybe. But he could clean up, but he cleans it up anyway. So now the Abu guns fighting again. So because after the heavy cannons are dead, so there's nothing to contest those Abu guns. So that's why even if I lose some of those, that would have been decent for me. Because Abu's guns kill cannons quite fast. So. Need some anti-cav, bro. No. Some mortars are here. It's also good. Losing the cannon is not ideal. So usually what I also would do is just use the Abus guns to block. Even it's not ideal, it's still better than losing your cannons. But he's definitely missing some anti-cav here. Oh, a villager is on his journey again. I think they did the right thing. So usually what you can also do if someone is sneaking buildings behind you, then you can just build some buildings there yourself, and this way he cannot build buildings in your buildings. So He would have to destroy the buildings first before he can buildings on your buildings. And that means you're getting at least one more alert, and you typically can react. And that's a good thing. So building buildings on a place where your enemy built buildings to raid you is usually a good idea to stop the enemy from building buildings in your face, you know. So, pro tip. Yeah, I think the fight is going on. AJIV, I think AJIV is winning. In the late game, the Janissary Hassa combo is just better than the Abugan CA combo, I think. It's just more cost efficient, or pop efficient mainly. Usually what also happens is the CA or the Abus guns won't attack the Janissaries because the Cav are in the front, so half of the DPS of the Abus guns is not going where it's supposed to go because you want your Abus guns to shoot the infantry. Then the CA to kill the Cav, of course. But in reality what happens is that the CAs, the Abus guns will attack the Hussars for a long time, and yeah. But typically you also need some horse artillery to support this combo for the DPS. Yeah, but Frosty calls it. I think Spain is a hard thing to pull off against, or Russia against Spain is hard to pull off. I think Spain usually has the edge there. So maybe if he wins it early, then they can win it. Overall, some solid games. I think AJIV and NaheulBeuk are just slightly better than Frost, or played slightly better. There are no major mistakes. I think Frosty and Matthew did. I mean, at the start they could have played a bit more team-oriented. So once Frosty got in here, Matthew should have forced the issue here. So a bit better communication. Could have put AJIV under a lot of pressure, or NaheulBeuk. Other than that, yeah, I think many small mistakes, like many small micro or macro or unit composition mistakes, or suboptimal play, I would say, like mixing in the Capitulate, and that eventually leads that you just lose the game. But no more major things, I think. So great games. And for me, I think this is also, I don't have any more games to cast. So thanks for watching, and I hope the next games will be, I think next week or something. I hope then NaheulBeuk and AJIV will play against Mehmet, and